Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Well, everyone, we got a request from a Kiwi. Got a request from a guy from New Zealand. Is it Kiwi? Yeah. Oz is Australia. He's a Kiwi. I think, yeah, I'll call this New Zealand currency the Kiwi. Anyway, he wanted me to do a video on the New Zealand economy, and he provided me with a ton of links and all that. And it's not that I didn't appreciate the links to the news articles, but the problem with news articles, unless they're like written purely about economics, is that they're typically anecdotal. And so if, for example, if you read an article like what today, the false rape claim drama that's going on in the media, but pretty much nowhere else. Like, if you read that, you'd be kind of upset thinking like, oh yeah, all these false rape claims are being thrown around at colleges and universities. And you think the country as a whole is going to hell in the handbasket. You need to get more top-down, bird's-eye view of economics and the economy to see how any economy is doing. And so that's what I've done here. I've gone to the OECD among some other places, and it's kind of interesting. So, whereas you, Jamie, the person requesting this video, you may seem things are going bad, and in certainly some aspects, some sociological aspects of New Zealand, things could be going bad. Maybe feminism is running rampant. Maybe you think everything's moving to the left, but you need the actual data. Now, New Zealand, actually not in bad shape. Not in bad shape at all. And I had studied New Zealand many years ago, and I knew it was like Australia was one of the potential places I wanted to move. But you guys are doing way better than the United States. Your income per capita is not as high, although I often question those figures using purchasing power parities and put out by the OECD and the World Bank. But you got income per capita here about $34,000, not bad. Your economic growth is kind of not great either. In that regard, you are similar to the United States. You're only growing at about 2%. The big ones, though, that I concerned myself, where I went right to it, was what do your debts and deficits look like? Your deficits, you guys took a pummeling in 2010, and you're starting to close your deficits here. That is, as a percent, you were down to 7.3% of GDP, and now it looks like you got a surplus. Let's go and take a look. I want to give you correct answers, so I apologize if budget, debt to GDP, government budget. Yeah, so you had, well, it depends on which data source you want to use. You had a deficit of 9% GDP, according to these figures, and you're now running a token deficit of 1.3% GDP, which is definitely doable and nowhere near as bad as the United States. So when you add up all those debts and deficits, you have your national debt. And now keep in mind the United States is about 106, 107%. You guys are at 36%. And that's, 2014, and maybe it's even gotten better in the past quarter here of 2015. But you guys you don't have a lot of debt. It's great. And so already, I got to start looking into maybe getting citizenship down in New Zealand and buying property down there. Your finances are way better than the United States and pretty much every European country. You're kind of similar to Australia in some regards. Your deficits are a little worse, but very low debt. You guys seem to have your act together. Now, the thing that I would want to determine whether a country is moving to the left or not, beyond having to live there and see it sociologically whether that's happening, is I want to see economically whether that's happening, and that's why we look at government spending as a percentage of GDP. What percent of the government is the economy? And what percent of the economy is the government? And this is not as good as it could be. It was in the upper 30s back in the mid-2000s. And now it looks like it's at about 41%. It was as high as 47%, but again, that was during the crisis. It seems like you had some dumbass Keynesian stimulation going there, and your economy didn't really boom or anything like that. But 41, 42% of your GDP is government, and I'd need even longer longitude to figure it out. But it's not good, but it's not terribly bad, because there's very few places that are like Singapore or Hong Kong. You guys do get national health care, except for some higher-end surgeries that are elective, in which case you have a private market, a private insurance market for that. But you only spend about, what was it, 8% GDP on health, which is good. We spend it 16% here because we're so fucking mismanaged. It's insane. So a lot of people would say, well, you know, they're kind of on par with the United States, but if you account for the fact you're that much more efficient with your health care, you gotta subtract out 8%. So compared to the United States, you're only at about 33% GDP overall taxes adjusted, and that's not bad. It's not bad, and then it's warm. You guys got mountains and all that. So, you know, there is no perfect place, and whether you guys have movements in social, which I'm sure you do. Every Western country has that. And you're going to have to fight it. That's just the nature of human beings, to be parasitic and lazy. But as it stands right now, it looks to be pretty stable. You guys look to not be the worst country in the world, and one I wouldn't mind kind of like living the remainder of my days out at, or at least have some property or have it be a go-to place. Now this shows in your housing market, because as you said 1 in 4 people are immigrants to New Zealand. Like, is it that high? And I looked at, yeah, you're right, and most of them come from Asia. Now this is a good thing. I know you may not like having foreign cultures move in and be such a high percentage of the population, but keep 2 things in mind. One, the Chinese work. They're Asians. Their culture is one of hard work, traditional things, the traditional family. And certainly there are some problems, like, you know, communist countries, sort of, but not really anymore. But by and large, you're not importing welfare recipients like we are here in the United States or Northern Europe or Southern Europe and all of Europe. We're like, you know, you guys got people that engineers, doctors, IT guys, they work. And if you look at the unemployment rates of native-born versus foreigners, it's about the same. So you have people that want to work, they are contributing economically to the economy, and here's the other thing, it drives up asset prices, especially housing. Now that might squeeze some people out, it might make people have to move out of this, they have to move out of Auckland or Wellington to find cheap, affordable housing, but your asset prices are unlikely to go down. Now keeping in mind, yes, there is a housing bubble. You know, you can always have those prices. There can be a correction. They can go down. But with this immigration coming in from a productive culture, that is going to at least put a floor on prices, because they're going to have to buy. There's going to be demand for assets and stuff like that. So I'm not saying invest in real estate. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you see the high housing prices, that housing. But what's it? It's a bad sign, because housing prices go up, it costs more, but it's also a testament that people want to live there, and they have the money to do it. People come here to the United States, they live in the ghetto, and the opposite happens. Population goes up, prices go down, because someone wants to live in just shithole. So, and then your deficits are going back towards surpluses. What else did I want to look at here? Again, I apologize, I have to go through different... Oh, foreign direct investment. All right, speaking more directly to it, people, dude, you have an outward foreign direct investment of $19 billion and an inward foreign direct investment of $82 billion. People want to live in your country, and that's good. They want to invest, so that's not bad, and it shows. The unemployment rate is not bad, but let me find it here. Employment rate. Your labor force participation, this shows, here in the United States, our labor force participation among young people is horrible, and it's more the underemployment rate. You guys, your employment rates or unemployment rates are almost identical for old and young. The older people have a little higher rates of employment, but ages 25 to 54, an employment rate of 81%, and then the employment rate age 55 to 60. Oh, it's even better. The younger people have it better than the old timers, maybe because you have early retirement. But that's a sign, like in the United States, the young are fucked here. They're just fucked. Now, they fucked themselves over voting in a socialist who hates corporations, and they did the OWS, and they scared investment away, and they majored in the world's dumbest shit. And they brought it on themselves, is what I'm saying. But it's still sad to see them here. They got their masters and they're working this low-level job, or they're not working at all. You guys seem like you're young. Or, meanwhile, the older people here in the United States, older, like 37 and up, I guess. It's better than the youth. Here, it's different. The young, the future, have a future. They are employed. And then we get our unemployment rates. Looks like it's hovering around 6%. Population's not growing terribly much. International foreign born, 24%. And I had, where was it? Again, I apologize. Yep, that was it. So here's what the quick takeaway of it is. You're in a great country. You are. I know you may not be able to shoot your guns. I know there's going to be leftist socialists pushing for more government intervention, as you indicated with how the government. There was a bill to have food paid for kids in school, and they shot it down. Here in the United States, they passed that. They would, and so it seems to me that saner heads are ruling in New Zealand. And if you want to see insaner heads, go to Sweden. Go to the United States, research it. You don't have to go there, just have to research and study it. Greece, Italy. That's a nice place you got there. So I would, it may not be what you wanted, like, you want, tax rates of 10%, and you want June and Ward Cleaver and women to be traditional and not tattoo themselves. Well, you can't force that sociological stuff. But given the grand scheme of things, you're in a pretty cool country. It's not bad, and that, I kind of almost want to thank you for having this request, because now I'm thinking like, well, maybe I ought to go and look at some land down there or something. But yeah, be happy. It's not the worst, and whatever problems you may have, you're not facing an underemployment rate of 50%. You have an 80% employment rate. There's like agency and purpose, and the youth are actually being used, not abused, but they have point and use in the. You're part of a culture. Maybe that culture is getting diluted with all the Asians coming over, but man, if I'm thinking about moving there or investing there, it's kind of a good sign and a testament. So anyway, hope that put a spring step in your day. Hope you find some newfound pride and joy in New Zealand, and don't be surprised if you see me down there. Toodles.